overview of some of the things that I talk about in the technologies module for the MICL. Yeah, let's see how we get on. And to start, I think there's different ways in which we can think about the role of tools and technologies in supporting creativity. It's kind of a range of different things we might want to think about. So you don't necessarily need the special purpose dedicated creativity apps. There's a lot of things you can do with just the ordinary everyday tools that we're all using anyway, once you've understood things about creative climate, how you as a creative individual like to work, how you gain flow, etc. Once you've understood what you're trying to do, there's a lot that you can do with just the general purpose tools, so not to be forgotten. It's not all about getting the right app, getting the right tool. You can use a lot of stuff that you've got already. Having said that, there are lots of tools out there that try to replicate physical creativity tools like digital post-its, etc. I'll show a couple in a minute. At the other end of the spectrum, there are tools that kind of do the creativity for you by writing poems and stories and painting pictures and that sort of thing. I don't think they're in a very good state at the moment, so I don't say too much about them in the. Well, I mean, they're exciting, interesting from a research point of view, but they're not in a state where you would really want to kind of, have a computer-generated poem rather than a human-written one, let's say. The bit that I think is sort of most interesting, and the bit where we're doing some research at City, is this bit here. So tools that explicitly aim to augment human creative capabilities. So trying to understand how people work creatively in different contexts and use technologies to support that in various ways. So that's the kind of context, if you like. Now to go through some examples. Yes, forget that one. We're going to focus on these. So first of all, I mean, these are sort of quite boring, just to, I'm sure people use the digital whiteboards, digital post-its. I mean, they're there, but they don't really, when we've done experiments with them, they don't really help, they don't really work, people don't really like them, so yeah. Digital mood boards, for people in advertising, for example, these are, people use digital mood boards these days rather than the old physical ones, and that works quite nicely. Digital storyboards. I don't know if any of you are in kind of design context where you're developing storyboards for new services, for example, that you want to bring into your organisations. Traditionally, storyboards would have been done by hand, literally people kind of drawing cartoons. But there's really nice tools that you can use to make that a lot easier now, and we find that quite useful in communicating concepts. Yes.
Excuse me, what does EG mean?
For example, sorry. Yeah. Thank you. Do pick me up with the stuff I've just got. You're not following, yes? So Pixton is the name of the program that was used to create this storyboard, yeah. Pixton, yeah. It's a free app that you can download for doing storyboards.
It's also great for designing the customer's journey.
Exactly so, yes, exactly that sort of thing. So we do some design thinking work on the MICL in two of the modules really, so my module and Neil's on leading creative design, where we're getting people to think about customer journeys, how a new service would play out in practice, the story of how people would use the service. Yeah. So that's a useful tool for that context. And Pixton is just one. There's a few tools out there. So this was a research prototype we made at City. So we had the Microsoft Surface. Does anyone remember that? Big interactive surface. We thought, it must be really useful, surely, exciting stuff with digital post-its on a multi-touch surface. Not really. So there's some of the digital tools that replicate kind of physical stuff like storyboards, mood boards are good and useful. Others, not so much. I find. And the research that we've done with those tools has tended to show that people actually prefer just the paper post-its. We've also had a few years looking at digital shared spaces for creative workshops. So I'm guessing you're all familiar with the idea of sort of creative or co-design workshop, where you get stakeholders together to problem solve, design new solutions to challenges you're experiencing. People not looking very, not sure. Is that kind of, do you cover that in the course? No.
Not
okay.
Really, not really in the course. people who are going to social innovation camp, that type of innovative project that we see over here, then we use it. But it's not really covered in the course. No.
Okay. So people familiar with the idea of a focus group, maybe, where you get stakeholders? Okay, so kind of like a focus group, but used to maybe generate new ideas, rather than so understanding how your current customers are working. You kind of apply deliberate creativity techniques. So use things like constraint removal or analogical reasoning. So there's some kind of techniques that we use in a workshop setting, so in a focus group type of setting, to get our stakeholders to start to generate their own new ideas about services, products, etc. So that's a kind of technique that we have used quite a bit with commercial clients. And usually we use things like flip chart, paper, post-its, etc. But that involves a lot of kind of transcribing after the event. So people write their ideas on post-its, and we used to laboriously type the ideas into a Word document, and you'd end up with this 100-page Word document that no one would read. So we thought, well, wouldn't it be interesting to explore what would happen if you had a digital workshop setting where people could use the digital post-its, and so this is the facilitator for the workshop, kind of writing down people's ideas as they come up in digital form on the board. And so this was quite good. But again, the exciting thing for me, sadly, was that there was no difference in idea quality or quantity in the physical and the digital setup. So still, we're at a point where the digital, it works okay, but it doesn't really buy us anything extra in that context. So, I just want to present this as another kind of framework for thinking about the different kinds of tools that you might want to consider using. So Todd Lubart came up with this way of kind of categorizing, dividing up creativity support tools. So he said there are tools that work like a nanny, so helping you with planning, project monitoring. Tools that work like a pen pal, so facilitating networking. So networking communication is an important part of the creative process, as people were just saying. Tools that act as a coach, so providing information about useful techniques you might consider using. And then tools that work like a colleague, so that help you get new ideas if you're stuck. So I just want to give some examples of each of those types of tools very quickly. 5 minutes. So project management tools, again, this comes back to the kind of general purpose tools that once you understand what you're trying to do in terms of flow, creative climate, etc., you can use the tools in an appropriate way, sort of thing. So Trello is a tool that works quite sort of flexibly in my experience and fits in with kind of agile style of project management that goes with a kind of creative climate. Pearl Trees is a tool that you can use for sharing web resources in a collaborative way. And obviously you can have all these slides afterwards, so don't struggle to write down all the tool names and everything. Idea management tools, so there's quite a few of these around. Some are free, some cost, depending on mainly what they can export to. So these ones are free. The iMindMap tools are free, I think, for iPad, iPod, phone, etc. There's FreeMind, that's a Java-based free tool that you can have on your desktop. Doesn't kind of look so pretty, but does the job. Mind Manager is like the Office package, but for creativity. So it's like Microsoft Office, but for creativity. So you pay for it, but you get a kind of tool suite including this mind mapping software. Poplets, that's another kind of new free one. Again, it's for sharing multimedia resources in a mind-mappy kind of format, and it's collaborative. So that's quite a nice thing to do if you're working with a distributed team and wanting to share resources. And Murally is a tool that students this year have been trying and finding that works nicely for them. Again, collaborative mind mapping, media sharing, sketching. There's a chat function, so a real-time chat along with sharing the media. Method guidance tools. So these you may find interesting, useful. So anyone come across the IDEO method cards? So people know IDEO first of all. Okay, IDEO, big design company, American. They now have what's the social innovation bit called? IDEO.org, I think. So they're kind of branching into design thinking in general, not just product design now. And they have this kind of set of cards. It used to be a physical pack of cards with a method and an image. So it's just like a recipe for a method on each card. So it's kind of, 60 methods you might want to use as creative techniques in your practice. Started as a physical set of cards, now you can get it on your iPod, iPhone, etc. The Creative Whack Pack, it's pretty similar. It's by Roger van Oog. He's famous for whack on the side of the head as his creativity manifesto, if you like. And that's the same sort of thing. There's recipes for techniques, and that has a nice feature where you can enter your problem and it will kind of design your own creative workshop for you, so suggest a small number of techniques that you might want to put together. And again, this one is like Mind Manager. It's kind of office for creativity, again, on your desktop. So these two are either free or quite cheap, I think. This one you pay more for. So finally, idea generation tools, which is sort of my favourite bit, I think. So anyone familiar with the de Bono techniques, where you often need to use kind of random stimuli? So there are lots and lots of apps available for just generating random stimuli for you. So this one just generates random words, the word empty, do something with that. This one is a little bit more sophisticated, so it generates a context, a protagonist, so a hero, and a plot line, and invites you to put those three together. So, if you're looking for inspiration for creative writing, that would be useful. Equally, if you're looking for, if you've got a product and you think you're wondering where you can use it, I think that could be interesting for stimulating ideas. So that's tools that are out there for you to download. I just wanted to say 2 minutes about some of the tools we've been working on at City. So Carer is a tool that's come out of a 4-year European project that's just coming to an end now. It's an app for iPods, as you can see. It's been developed to support creativity in the care of people with dementia. So maybe of direct interest to some of you, I don't know. The project was working with the UK's RNHA, Royal Nursing Homes Association. So it's a bunch of, an association of homes that care for people with dementia. And the app has been tested out in several homes to, develop it and see how effective it is. It supports creative thinking just by looking at cases of good dementia care practice. So if a carer in a care home encounters a challenging situation, they're not immediately sure what to do about it. They can use the tool maybe at their next coffee break to sort of think about, well, if that happens again, so if Fred's refused to eat his breakfast, if Fred refuses again tomorrow morning, what am I going to do about it? They can use the tool to look for examples of good dementia care practice from other homes, for example. They can also use the tool to look for cases of good practice from analogical domains. So Brenda is violent, let's say. What am I going to do about that? The tool can recommend examples of good practice from policing, for example, where there's a lot of experience in dealing with violent individuals. And there may be techniques that can be applied in the care context from policing. We also implement a technique called creativity triggers in the tool. And evaluation in the care homes has found that the use of led care staff to more creative care in response to challenging situations. So, it works to a certain extent. There's more work to do, and we're looking to commercialise the tool following the end of the project.
They also put in their own good ideas and practices.
Exactly so, that's
so it's
right.
community based.
Yes, so it builds on. They can. There's a feature. Here we are. Record new idea.
Yeah.
Yes, and of course that builds up over time. Then, sharing ideas. Yeah.
Is that available at the App Store?
Sorry, who's still? I'm speaking.
Sorry.
No, yes. No, it's not got to the App Store yet, but if you're interested, do get in touch, and we'd be very happy to have it evaluated in more sites, I think, for example, or for you to just have a play. It looks like something you would, like to think about using. Absolutely, yeah.
Try.
Any more questions on Carer? Okay, Okay, so the other thing to very quickly mention, which I thought might be of interest, is some work that Graham Dove, who's another PhD student here, has been doing on using visualizations of data as part of the creative design process. So this was what he did actually for his master's thesis. It was using data, so this might be of interest to people in higher education. So he was using data about, so this is, we have a thing called the NSS, National Student Scores. So there's a national exercise kind of assessing how well each university is doing in each subject, basically. And data is collected about that, and obviously as a university, we want to be kind of thinking about how we're doing in relation to other universities. So the visualization can help us look at how we're doing compared with other universities, look at how we're doing across different subjects, etc. And he set it up so that people could work collaboratively around an interactive visualization of that data. And then kind of what he's been doing more recently is providing visualizations on iPads to people in creative co-design workshops. So that's the kind of focus group type of context that I was mentioning before. And these are pictures from a workshop we did with E.ON, the energy company, to help them think about new products and services they might want to develop using the data that comes from smartphones. And I just very quickly want to give you a feel, if I can, for what that's like. Let's see if I can load this up in 1 minute. So this is the kind of thing that people would see on their iPad, and you can hopefully, this will play. You can look at the energy use of the different types of clients. You can click on each of these to find more detail about how that energy was used. You can, I think, look at the breakdown of the different days, etc. So that's what we mean by interactive data visualization, letting people play with data that's available and use that kind of understanding they can gain from playing with the data to come up with new ideas for products or services. And I think that's about all I was going to say. Yeah, so in your own practice, there's a range of different kinds of tools that you might want to think about using. So yes, you can think about some of those tools that replicate physical creativity tools are good. You might also want to think about what project management tools you're using and whether they're appropriate to your creative practice. You might want to look at tools that help you with your idea management. Some people still prefer the physical mind maps, but some people increasingly are kind of comfortable with the digital mind maps, which do have advantages because you can obviously include a broader range of media. Guidance on methods, often handy. And finally, there's these kind of specific tools like Kara and the information visualization that you might consider using in various contexts. If so, please get in touch because we'd love to hear from you. That's it.
Last question. Esther, that's okay.
I was just curious if there's any examples of using crafts, arts, to generate new ideas, other perspectives, because this is all
Technology.
but we talked about the embodiment and the crafts, getting crafts into what we do. And is there do you have any examples of using that to within companies to get another mindset or to create innovative ideas?
The examples that come to my mind, because we've just put in an Erasmus bid to pull together examples of using arts-based interventions, ABIs to their friends, in different contexts. And people who are using them, for example, theatrical processes, using masks, using dancers, using people to show what's going on. They're largely doing so in the context of people issues. So companies which perhaps they might be working very well, but they want to change or move to another, they actually one of the things next week at the conference that I put forward is you need to use some of these mindfulness and some of the pot boiling like emotional intelligence. Use some of these big ideas which have come into common parlance. Because it is everywhere at the moment. If you go to an airport, look at the bookshops, the business bookshelves. Almost every table has creativity in it at the moment. It's amazing. It's a real good, it's a fashion thing. It's a hype. So there is opportunity to get onto that bandwagon. But you have to have results that will be sustainable and we should be able to see the difference they've made. My interest is actually more in what differences it make in the relationships of the teams, the people getting. I think to prove differences and input to a particular product would probably be easier in terms of research challenge, it's a big show.
The survey part of the program
Is
survey.
yes, I think that one of the issues we can do before and after questionnaires, the issue is what are you surveying? So I actually think self-efficacy is a very useful approach to what people feel confident they can do before and after. You need people for a fair period of time, I think, to show that kind of shift. This is where you need the theory and the research married to the practice of the problem. I think taxonomic analysis, how do people describe what words do they use? What metaphors do they use? Metaphor is a very useful tool, and it's being used a lot. Because with evidence that when we use metaphor, we're using our right brain. It's not quite the same as product design. So I think, but then great products are by and large shift to metaphor, aren't they?
In our cases, all of our organizations are social organizations, so they're all human-based, and the type of services that we provide are always from human to human. So I think most of it's not really making a product like a book or a new chair, but I think most of the techniques that you mentioned can also be used in the teams, but also with the clients that we are working for, of the clients that we're trying to reach and don't have in yet, especially youngsters. What can we do for them? Because of the time, we have to round up, so we will. You was also talking about surveys and about how research is being done in how to use it. Maybe you're still around because we haven't heard you yet. But you're doing a PhD on what subject? So let's just.
Researching how you can use technologies to regulate your emotions, and as emotions stimulate creativity or inhibit creativity. Design in such a way that can help you.
Okay. So if you want to learn more, and in Dutch, you can jump on him. The other ones do have to go away because they have to be there at 2 o'clock. I will let you go.